Wall-to-wall wine and spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello and welcome into the Daily Nebraskan show right here on 90.3 or 93.7, excuse me, The Ticket. I'm used to saying the KRNU one. Bro, it's too much. It's too much. 93.7 The Ticket.
Yes, sir.
TheTicketFM.com right here in Lincoln. I'm joined here by Joseph Meyer and I'm Ben Droz. Both work for the Daily Nebraskan. He's the senior sports editor. I'm just one of the sports writers. But, we're both here on this lovely Thursday night. Weather's finally good.
Weather's finally warming up.
Yeah, and this is the and we didn't have a show this Tuesday because of Omaha Supernovas, but the Supernovas game today was a little bit earlier, so we were
early enough to get us on the show.
Yeah,
that's so nice of them to schedule it.
Yeah,
just for us. I'm sure
they knew we were going to be having a show, and they didn't want to have us not be able to do it two times in the same week. So it was really nice of them. I'm just kidding. They don't care about us at all. So
don't say that. It's been a very eventful day, Ben.
Yeah.
We usually mid-April right now, we were not expecting to have a situation where we have endless amounts of things to talk about on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
In early April. NBA playoffs are coming up. We're going to be able to talk about that. NFL draft's coming up. NFL offseason. March Madness is coming to its final close. But then all of a sudden today, Nebraska decides to drop a ton of news on us.
Yeah.
Both from football and specifically men's basketball. So we're going to dive into all of that. First, were you able to watch any of the NIT championship tonight?
No.
It was electric.
Okay. I was
Indiana State versus Seton Hall. Basketball at its finest. None of those guys care about NIL. No. None of them care about the transfer portal. They're in it for the sport, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. So Indiana State goes up 87-80 with less than 3 minutes left. And Seton Hall goes on a 9-0 run to win it. The game is in Indiana at Butler's Arena. So there was plenty of Indiana State faithful there who got to see their team fall short. I think both of those teams should have been in the NCAA tournament. Again, that's a debate for another time.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia had no business being in there over either one of those teams. You could make the argument for several other squads as well.
Honestly.
Love the NIT, though. I think, in years past, Nebraska's been in it, and it's kind of viewed as a disappointment. But ultimately, you get to compete at a high level against two teams that should have been tournament teams. So that was enjoyable. But that wasn't even the biggest news of the night.
No.
Because
especially for Husker fans.
Because we had the Final Four, 3-point contest and dunk contest and skills challenge and all sorts of festivities before we prepare for both Final Fours that start this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And who better?
Tominaga.
Who better than Keisei Tominaga?
Yeah. It's crazy how much love Keisei Tominaga is getting on social media. It was crazy.
He is, I said this a couple of weeks ago, he is incapable of staying out of the spotlight.
Oh, yeah.
Completely unable to not make himself go viral.
Yeah.
And it is incredible.
This is why it was he was a big deal heading into the NCAA tournament, why he's getting talked about a lot. It's because, he's a pretty good player. He's not one of the best in the country, but he's a pretty good player.
Right.
And not only that, he's a fun player to watch. He has an awesome personality. He's doing it for the right reasons. I don't even know how you could not root for Keisei Tominaga. Truly. Unless he's on your enemy team.
You can't. Well, yeah, and there was he won the 3-point contest for the men's. Then there was the champions one, Indiana, one of the Indiana women's players versus him.
Yeah.
And he won it. Poor Indiana. Indiana's had enough of Keisei Tominaga.
Yeah.
They've seen enough. In 3 games this season, I think they've had enough of him. They're ready to see him go. Yeah. We were joking about it earlier. He's so electric when it's the team that you're covering. But I can imagine if you're a student in the Big Ten on a separate team, probably not the most fun player to go against because you just know it's dropping in every time he throws it up. Truly going to be missed. And it was so cool to see him go out on a high note tonight because the narrative of his last game on the court was, him coming off, not able to get it done, very emotional, very caught up in the moment. And, clips of him going viral on social media of him crying. And it was a very touching moment. And I know a lot of people were divided on that. And most people, I think, were in support of his emotion and that outpouring of support from that.
Just the haters on social media.
There were a lot of haters. But you can't hate what you saw tonight. I mean, it is unreal what he did. Buzzer beater, turnaround, Steph Curry 3. Then he follows it up in the next round against Jamison Battle, where he has to get the money ball to win, knocks it down at the buzzer, wins the championship comfortably, and then hits another one at the buzzer. So he had 3 straight buzzer beaters. Now, granted, 2 of them he kind of waited for the buzzer.
Yeah.
Actually, all 3 of them he waited for the buzzer. He's just a showman, and it's so good to see him getting his praise on social media because he didn't get the hype that he deserved up until this season, even late into this season. And now it's too late, unfortunately, for the national media. They waited a little too long to cash in, and now he's off to his next venture. So a good way to go out for him. It was fun to watch tonight.
Yeah. One thing that I find interesting is, so when the NBA had their 3-point contest, and it was Steph Curry against Sabrina, that was talked about a lot of hype around that. That was fun to watch. Now, this 3-point, I know we're a little bit biased because we covered Nebraska, but this 3-point contest was also very fun. Like, honestly, it's crazy, like, how great these shooters are. Both college and pros.
If you're a basketball fan 20 years ago,
You couldn't even imagine.
Steph Curry has legitimately changed the game.
Oh, yeah.
Where, Tominaga does look up to Steph. Like, it is that it's that Jordan-esque, not quite the player that Jordan ever was, but changing the game.
Yeah.
The same way that Magic did, changing the game for the better, in my opinion, making it more marketable. I saw if we're going to put Mac McClung in the dunk contest, that's pretty much the only reason he's in the NBA. He's, in the G League. Let's at least put Tominaga in the NBA 3-point contest.
I mean, I honestly feel like if you try to make it to the NBA, you could probably get on a G League team easily.
Steph and Casey versus Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark. Who says no? That's must-see TV.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, yeah. I'm pretty sure they're wanting to do the Steph and Sabrina again, but I think they're wanting like a 2-on-2. So I don't think it's.
You have to put. Yeah.
I don't think it's not gonna be Casey Tominaga, but like Steph says he already knows who it's gonna be. People think it's gonna be Klay Thompson, but he's kind of washed.
He's washed.
I'm glad we both agree on that.
But that wasn't the only big news. So
no,
this morning
it wasn't even the biggest news, honestly.
Would you say? I mean, I think
I guess, yeah.
For the national fan, I think this is the biggest news.
Yeah,
but
probably.
The most meaningful news for Nebraska is Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams announcing that they were going to return in a quite funny video. Just laid back on the phone. Hey, man, should we come back? Well, let's do it. Huge. I mean, I don't think people realize if they had lost either one of those guys, you completely lose your core. In my opinion.
I mean, if Mass would have left, I don't think it would have been too terrible, in my opinion.
Well, we don't know if Mass could potentially still leave.
He could still leave. But I'm saying, but I agree with you with like Gary and I mean, if Gary would leave, he is like the piece of this team that they can't afford to lose. Like when he was injured, the reason like Husker fans was so scared about that injury is because everyone knows how big of a part to this team he is. He's probably, in my opinion, he's more important than Casey Tominaga was to this team. Because of what he does on both ends of the floor.
I would agree with you at some. I mean, I think for the runs that this team went on, Tominaga was potentially more important. But for the consistency, absolutely, Juwan Gary. And same with Bryce Williams down the stretch. Both of those guys were very consistent. Gary didn't have a great tournament game. He just got out physical at points because Texas A&M was so physical. But I was concerned because if you lose either one of these guys who have transferred before, they know what it's like to transfer. wouldn't be shocked if they did it again. But so I always viewed it as this, right? You have Gary and Williams, who are your experienced, consistent players, and then you have the Tominaga and the Josiah Alec, who are very streaky at times, very energetic, bring the intangibles off the court and on the court, and it's a great mix between the two. You throw in a lot of other guys, but I felt like that was the core of what this Fred Hoiberg team was.
Mhm.
And Sam Hoiberg was kind of an extension of that hustle, not always the most talented, but hustle brings energy, brings hard work on the court. And then, Mass had his ups and downs this season, and Wilcher and Lawrence had their moments off the bench. Neither were consistent all season. It's a tough loss. But I really felt like you had to keep Williams and Gary around. And so both of these guys coming back and saying, we're going to run it back together, it really helps motivate this team going forward, because if you bring in some big name transfers, which there are a bunch of potential, Frankie Fiddler just announced today that his final 4, I believe Omaha Biliu has his top 2. That's what the rumors are saying, and Nebraska's in it. Like, there are legitimate, talented players that are potentially coming to Nebraska. They need more guard play. That's for sure. And they need to get a little younger, because next year, if you look at the scholarship distribution chart, next year is the year you have to win that tournament game, because you lose literally. There is not a single player that was on 2023 roster, 2023, 2024 roster that will be there come 2025. Not a single one.
Yeah.
Because all the young guys transferred out that didn't think they got enough playing time or didn't get the role they wanted. And all the old guys are going to be graduated.
Yeah.
So that's a complete rebuild. So this season, having that bridge of the culture guys in Williams and Gary, who came in to help build this, along with guys like Mast and Alec, I think is very beneficial. Gary is still a holdover from that 2022-2023 season, which I think was a very important turning around point with Emmanuel Bandamel and Sam Griesel.
Mm-hmm.
But great news from both of those guys if you're Nebraska.
Yeah, I agree. Nebraska could not afford to lose Williams or Gary. Of the 3 between Mass, Gary, and Williams, kind of like the key contributors that are probably going to be coming back, I feel like Mass would be the one you could probably get away with losing the most. But Gary and Williams, those, like, people were dogging on Bryce Williams because he wasn't a true point guard at the beginning of the year, but he was so good down the stretch. I
think he's their best player, and a lot of people will debate me on that. I think Williams absolutely is their best player. They do not make that run at the end of the season if he is not as consistent and good as he is. Tominaga gets all of the flash and all of the attention.
Oh yeah,
he had some up and down performances. He had a couple 8 point. He's averaging 15 points per game. You see how many 30-point games he's had. That means he's had a couple stinkers. Williams, down the stretch of the season, he was up and down a little bit early as they kind of figured out. But once they switched to that bigger lineup, you remember mid-February, they moved Lawrence to the bench, make that switch to the bigger lineup. Williams excelled in that role, and he was pivotal to this team's run down the stretch.
Yeah.
That time frame where they beat Penn State handily and they beat Minnesota handily, and they beat Indiana handily on the road, and it was when it really started to click, and that's when Bryce Williams was playing at his best. I think he was the best player on the court in the tournament game. Tominaga had some flashy shots. I think Williams was really the only one keeping him in that game. I say in it as if they were really ever had a chance after those first 10 minutes. But his size and physicality, while also being able to score the ball, is massive for this team. They need more of that.
Yeah. Tominaga, Husker fans will always love him. I love Tominaga as a player, but at the end of the day, he was a little bit of a liability on the defensive end. So it's going to be interesting to see who they bring in to replace him, because you're right. After this next year, it might be a complete rebuild for this team. It's really going to depend. Even this year, this upcoming year for Husker basketball, it might not be that great if he doesn't land the right transfer portal guys. Because there's literally 4 contributors coming back from last year, and at most right now.
Yeah.
And like we said, Mast, Williams, Gary, and then Hoiberg, if you consider him a big contributor, he really wasn't that big of a contributor down the stretch. He played a little bit, but
Yeah.
If you lose him, no one would. I mean, they're not going to lose him, but like,
I mean,
if
he's
you would,
not a scholarship player, so which is nice
Yeah.
for them. They have an
So-
extra spot to be able to bring in a transfer
So,
guy.
but it was like if he would leave, it's not like, oh my gosh,
yes.
Hoiberg is like easily replaceable. But like they only have 3 guys coming back from next year, from this last year. So like this team could look completely different. They could be way better if they land all the right transfer players, or this team could go back to being one of the bottom teams in the Big Ten. I mean, they really can.
So how did you read into all the guys jumping ship? Because in my opinion, the culture was strong this season and the results were there. And it seemed like the guys, I mean, Wilcher obviously leaving, wants to, go back home. He walked on senior night. That you could see that one coming. Lawrence just probably wants to play a shooting guard role somewhere and start and not have to come off the bench. He's not a point guard. And that was the role he was trying to get forced into at the beginning of the season. Didn't work. Transitioned to the bench where, to quote Hoiberg, he said that Lawrence came and talked to him and was like, hey, I really like this role. I'm excelling in this role. He had that stretch where he went back to back to back, like 15-point games.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive stuff off the bench. He probably just wants to have a starting role. But the way I viewed this was these guys don't think they're necessarily going to get playing time next year. And that tells me that Hoiberg has something lined up. I could be wrong. I don't think this many guys jump ship if they think they're going to get starting time next season.
I think Wilcher left just because, like you said,
Wilcher's another.
His role was so diminished towards the end of the year. It's not surprising he left. All the younger guys that left that weren't playing that much, it's because they weren't playing that much. I mean, that's
right, but
why. Lawrence was the only one that was confusing to me, and I wonder how much behind the scenes stuff there was in that. Like I don't think he hated it here or anything, but if I wonder if Hoiberg said, "Hey, look, you really we don't really see you as a starting player on this team," and if that's true, then he wants to go and start. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what it's going to be.
He's not a point guard, and that's what you need on this team.
But
you don't need another shooting guard.
But he could start next to Williams, in my opinion. He could replace. I'm not saying he's Tominaga, but you could put him in that Tominaga role if you had to.
Potentially, yes.
So that's because I feel like if push come to shove, you could start Lawrence on this team. You could have Williams, Lawrence,
for sure,
Gary, get another big next to Mass, and that's your starting 5. And that starting 5 would do pretty well, in my opinion, depending on who they get on the big next to Mass. But it's just the fact that I think Hoiberg doesn't see him as a starter because of what he saw at the beginning of the year. So then Lawrence probably jumped ship because he wants to start.
I think because Lawrence knows they're going to bring in a surefire point guard, whether that's if Aaron Eulis is going to be able to play, that's his role, or they're going to bring in with the transfer portal. So then your point guard role is taken, a true point guard. That is what this team needed all season. Williams.
Is that really what they needed?
I mean, I just didn't think you had an elite distributor. I think you needed more. What I said the whole season, you need a true 5 and a true 1. They have a lot of guys in between, and they just weren't able to. They weren't able to have that size, so they had to kind of move everyone up because they needed Williams to play the point.
I honestly feel I agree with you. They needed another big, but even if they brought in a distributing point guard, they weren't beating that Texas A&M team. That was just a terrible matchup. I think if Nebraska gets matched up against anybody else, they could have easily won a round 1 game.
But you can't grade your whole season based on that Texas A&M matchup because that was, again, we talked about this, a brutal matchup where they shot the lights out.
So did you not? So because they didn't have a true point guard, did you not feel like this team could win a first round tournament game? Or are you just saying that was a big need? This team?
I think that was just a big need. And in another situation, they're going to bring in another big guy like that.
They have to.
They have to.
They only have Mast.
Right.
So, maybe.
I mean, yeah, you've got a lot of forwards, but Williams doesn't play like a forward. So you have Juwan Gary. Those guys are not going to play your 4 and your 5. You don't want to go into a role where you're forced Mast into that 5 again. You saw how well that bigger lineup worked this season.
Yeah.
When you had, that Alec at the 4, Gary at the 3, and Williams running it all. So I think they're going to bring in a true point guard, or Eulis is going to play. So what Jamarcus then thinks is, okay, where's my role?
It would have been a 6th man.
Exactly. Because you're not starting over Williams, you're not starting over Gary. So then you don't have a starting role. So he probably is like, okay, That tells me that he knows Hoiberg's going to go out and find a true point guard.
Probably. I'm still like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I just don't know how well Mass is going to fit in if you put him at the 4. I mean, I got to be honest. Is Matt everyone keeps saying move Mass to the 4. I don't see him as that great of a 4. Is he athletic enough to hang with some of the more athletic 4s on these other teams? Like, you know
No,
how
he's not.
He'd be almost like a defense. He'd be almost a defensive liability if you don't get an athletic big next to him that would play the quote unquote 5.
Well, I think that's the goal. Again, like I think that's bring in a solidified big man who's athletic down low.
They're gonna have to find the right guy because you can't just get another big guy and then move Mass to the 4 and expect because you can't have just 2 unathletic big men down low.
I trust that Hoiberg will be able to mix and match. I'm just reading the tea leaves on these transfers.
Yes,
Eli Rice and Matar Diop, no, they're not playing starting roles next year.
Yes,
because they have either been told or assume that Fred Hoiberg is going to go out and get more big men from the portal, which means they're going to play a bench role again and not get many minutes. They probably want to start. They've been sitting behind a year. They want to go somewhere, maybe a smaller school where they can start. Same with Lawrence. Wilcher's a whole different story. Ramel Lloyd, that just didn't work out in Lincoln. That was never going to work out. So I wouldn't say, same with Blaze. Like, he knows he's not playing. Like, if it wasn't going to play this year with that injury, he wasn't going to play. So I think that's optimistic of your Husker fans. Like, yeah, okay, all these guys are leaving, but guys don't leave a D1 school where they know that they're going to have an opportunity to start. In my opinion, they're looking for a starting role because you're not moving down. You're not taking a lateral starting role at a smaller college. I don't think any of these guys are going to find a bigger spot than Nebraska to play.
I mean, yes, you should still be optimistic that Nebraska can be just as good, if not better, next year. But I still want to caution Husker fans that just are like blindly optimistic and like think easily they can run it back. Because this could, if Hoiberg doesn't land the right players in the transfer portal, he's had good success as of late. But the transfer portal, as we know, sometimes it works, sometimes it just does not work. You have to bring in, like, it has to all work perfectly, and it could easily not work. Like, it can just not, like, the pieces can just not fit, and this could be it could just be one of, like, a mid-tier Big Ten team. That wouldn't be surprising to me.
It's going to be very hard to replace, in my opinion, the energy and hustle that Alec brought and that Tominaga brought. But neither of those players were looked at as, like, these incredible talents. They just were they were the guy for this team.
I'm not worried about him bringing in energy players. I feel like there's so many guys like that.
But don't you feel that part of this, the reason that part of the reason that this team was so good is because they had that it factor. They weren't the most talented team on the floor a lot of those nights.
I think Hoiberg just instills that into the team, though.
That's fair, and that's why he won Coach of the Year.
Yes.
And we barely touched on this.
We didn't even touch on that. We were going to touch on that.
So,
well-deserved.
I believe in him to be able to mix and match whatever he can find in the portal. He didn't even get all his guys that he wanted last year in the portal. There were a lot of other players that ended up going other places that he didn't even get. You think about if they end up bringing in Hunter Salas on this team. I mean, that's a top 25 team in the country easily with a Hunter Salas there.
Mm-hmm.
So, with a year of an excellent year, with a Coach of the Year under his belt, with what has gone down at PBA, the court storms, the NCAA tournament appearance, all the hype, I think he's going to have even more success in the portal than he has over the last 2 seasons, which he did very well in. Remember, this is an NBA guy. This is an NBA coach.
Yeah.
Players want to play for former NBA players and former NBA coaches because they know they want to make that step to the next level. Every single player at this D1 level believes that they can play at a high level. And Hoiberg believes in that in every player. I mean, he even said Alec. He's like, yeah, Josiah's Alec's a pro player somewhere.
Yeah.
So he believes in his guys. I trust his judgment. I think he would encourage these guys to stay if he didn't think he could bring in a player that was better than them ultimately.
We'll have to see. There's going to be a lot of question marks, and it's going to be interesting to see what direction Hoiberg goes with because the bigger lineup worked. So you got to feel like some bigger bodies are going to be coming in, but they also need a scoring guard. They lost Tominaga.
They do.
We'll have to see. But with
They
that,
lost all their guards.
besides Williams.
Yes.
But with that, we got to throw it to break. When we come back, we're going to get some March Madness talk going.
Final four, men's and women's.
Yep.
What a weekend.
We're going to preview some March Madness games right here on the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hungered in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
High schoolers, unleash your creativity and learn about potential careers in broadcasting at the Digital Expressions Media Camp. Have fun, make friends, and get hands-on experience with video and radio production June 9th through the 14th at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. Scholarships are available from the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, and spots are limited. Learn more at digitalexpressionscamp.com. That's digitalexpressionscamp.com.
Alcohol has strained our relationship. Drinking too much can cause harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, we will save our relationship. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello and welcome back into the Daily Nebraskan Show right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Ben and Joseph still here with you.
Yes, sir.
On this Thursday night. We're going to transition into some March Madness talk because March Madness, it's like on its final legs. Isn't it crazy?
It's not March Madness anymore. I mean,
it's April
half this
Madness.
thing has been in April, so
April Madness.
What was Sunday was the last day of March, was it? And that was the last round of the Elite Eight.
So this is gonna be the first April games.
Okay. I was thinking it was going to stretch in April a little more than it did. But,
No.
Oh, man.
Still mostly March
What
Madness.
a dumb NCAA tournament, Ben.
Yeah, that's where you're going with it. Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Come on.
We haven't even talked. When's the last time we talked March Madness?
Me and you?
Just me and you. It's been a
There's
while.
no need to talk about any of my thoughts about March Madness or what I thought was going to happen in March
it was
Madness.
the phone call when you were in Memphis.
Oh, my goodness.
See, so since the last time me and Joseph have talked on March Madness, it was before the tournament even started. And
it was, wasn't it? No, I think we had a show or two in there, but it was.
I don't think we talked about it though.
No, because you had just talked about it on the Monday show. Yeah, we didn't.
So last time me and you talked about it, it was
Oh, my
before the
goodness.
tournament. I thought St. Mary's was going to Final Four. You thought
Let's
Auburn
not
was
even.
going. You thought Auburn was going to beat UConn. No, I mean.
Oh,
okay,
no. Hold on here. First of all, Auburn was going to beat UConn. Let's just say
they
that.
lost to Yale. They weren't beating.
This is
UConn.
why I don't like.
No. Don't even.
This
They
is-
lost to Yale. They lost to Yale.
This is why I don't like the NCAA tournament. I say I don't like the NCAA tournament. I love the NCAA tournament, but this is my issue with it.
Okay.
Yale plays Auburn 10,000 times in the month of November.
Nope.
They don't win a single game.
You're wrong.
No. Yale is not good at basketball. They shouldn't have even been in the NCAA tournament.
They just beat them.
The only reason Yale was even in the NCAA tournament is because Brown had a failed assignment on a buzzer beater to win the championship of their league and go to the NCAA tournament and beat the SEC champion.
Yeah.
This is why the NCAA tournament is dumb.
No, it's not dumb.
Now, here's the other reason why it's dumb. Because when someone fills out their bracket, may or may not be myself, and is like, okay, probably just 2 1 seeds will make the tournament. Let's go with North Carolina and Houston.
You mean make like Elite Eight or
Or
something?
make
Final
the
Four.
Final Four. Make the Final Four. Let's go with Houston and North Carolina. That sounds like makes sense. And then we'll pick 2 like lower seeded teams, like maybe a 3 or 4. So we'll throw in Auburn and Creighton. Doesn't work. Pick chalk. If I picked chalk, I would have been fine.
Oh,
Because no one had NC State going to the Final Four. So if you just pick chalk here, no one had Bama or NC State. So you'd be fine.
So Joseph, I made 2 brackets. One bracket was what I thought was going to happen. One bracket was I just picked the higher seed every single time.
How's that higher seed one doing?
I am in the 89th percentile. 89 percentile. Yeah, 89. So my bracket is better than 89% of brackets.
Because here's why. Because you have Clemson going to the Elite Eight, which was so obvious looking back because everyone picked New Mexico to go to at least the Sweet 16.
Yep.
You have Bama, who a lot of people had losing to St. Mary's in the first round or in the second round.
Me.
So I just think the NCAA tournament's dumb.
It's
I love
it's
it.
not-
I love
it's
it's
not.
glorious in all its glory.
It's not dumb.
But it's just so frustrating because you play it again and then others happens. Now, here's what I will say. I love this Final Four. I'm absolutely excited for it. Now that my bracket is completely gone, I'm in the bottom of my league. I have people who have never watched a second of college basketball texting me saying, hey, your bracket's so bad. Did you even try on it? Seriously, I've got like 10 texts this week saying, I just looked at your bracket. It's terrible. But now it's over. I was holding on to a little bit of hope with Creighton and with Houston. Once those 2 lost, everyone was out. I was done. And I could just say, let's just enjoy the basketball. And that's what I did on Easter Sunday. I sat down and watched Purdue take down Tennessee, which I was pumped up for because Tennessee made me mad because they beat Creighton. They shouldn't have beat Creighton. And
They did though.
And I watched NC State beat Duke because Duke beat Houston and they shouldn't have beat Houston. If Jamal Shed doesn't get hurt, Houston wins that game and they beat NC State and go to the Final Four just like I predicted. So Easter Sunday was awesome. It was awesome. I got to watch NC State and Purdue take down the 2 teams that ruined my bracket, and I'm rooting for whoever wins that game to win the NCAA title.
So, 1, NC State's not winning the title.
Oh,
B.
They said that every step of the way, Ben.
So B. The tournament, like you're saying it's dumb because there's unexpected stuff that happened. That's every year, Joseph.
But did unexpected stuff happen?
Yes, Clemson made it to the Elite Eight, and Alabama's in the
Okay,
Final
but that's
Four.
so unexpected that nobody got that right, so it's fine. So it just cancels everyone out.
But like that's
UConn
why
and
this
Purdue.
is March Madness.
It's gonna be UConn and Purdue in the national championship, and UConn's gonna win.
You didn't pick that. It's so obvious you didn't.
Because it never happens like that. Last year I picked Alabama. The year before I picked Purdue. You know what happened? Purdue lost in the first round. Alabama lost in the first round.
Don't act like it's so. You didn't get either of the championship teams. So I don't want to. Don't even say it was like predictable. But okay, I'm gonna go.
It was predictable. I just overthought it.
Okay, I'm gonna go this direction though. There's been some unexpected stuff that's happened. So like in essence, yes, this tournament's been exciting. But I got to be honest, the actual games themselves, I haven't even been that impressed with.
Oh, come on. Seriously.
I haven't been
seriously.
I haven't been on the edge of my seat for a game since the Texas A&M Houston game.
Oh, please give me a break.
I haven't.
Creighton, Tennessee was an incredible game. NC State Marquette was fun.
I did not want to watch NC State Marquette. I'm sorry.
Illinois, Iowa State? That was incredible. That game was awesome. North Carolina, Alabama.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
What?
The Illinois Iowa State game was incredible.
Came down to the end. North Carolina, Alabama came down to the end. Clemson, Arizona came down. Every single Sweet 16 game was good except for UConn. The only reason you don't like the tournament is because UConn keeps destroying the region that you picked St. Mary's to come out of. Or no, that's a different one.
No, that's a different one.
You're right.
I had UConn. I have UConn going all the way.
Whatever. Of course you do.
No, but okay. No, I'm just saying I'm not saying the tournament like hasn't been fun at all. I'm saying like the women's tournament has been more fun, in my opinion, than the men's.
Okay, well then say that. Don't say it's not been fun.
It's not been as much fun as years past, in my opinion.
Last year was not fun. Come on.
How?
San Diego State, Miami, and FAU in the Final Four?
Yes.
Oh, please.
I want some random
Give
teams.
me a break.
I want some random teams in there.
It's way more fun when you have the best teams all year should go to the Final Four. That's my hot take. And 2022 was awesome. Duke, Villanova, Kansas, North Carolina. Oh, Blue Bloods. It was incredible. It was an awesome viewing. Last year stunk. Year stunk. Because first of all, because UConn was so much better than everyone. They just tore through it. I don't want to see FAU versus San Diego State in the Final Four. That was the least climactic buzzer beater in NCAA tournament history. I was like, cool. Congrats. You get to be the one blown out by UConn. And that's the same thing that's going to happen this year. Purdue and NC State's going to go down to the wire, and UConn's going to kill them by 20. No matter who wins it.
So why are you saying this is exciting? You already know what's going to happen.
But at least this year, Purdue and NC State are good teams.
The last time I was genuinely like, oh man, this March Madness tournament is just like, it couldn't be any better, was when UCLA made it to the Final Four. Gonzaga made the buzzer beater.
Dude,
we got to see Baylor, everyone considered the worst one seed in the tournament that year. Baylor
killed everyone.
They killed everyone. Like that tournament was awesome.
And there were not even fans in there. That was the worst part.
We had Baylor, Houston, what were the
Gonzaga
and UCLA.
And UCLA.
Like that was a great Final
I agree.
Four. That was the last tournament where I was like, oh my gosh, like this couldn't get any
2022 was awesome. North Carolina, Duke, Carolina takes out Mike Krzyzewski. Oh, the drama.
It was good.
Kansas, Villanova.
The year before that was better.
North Carolina's up big. And Kansas comes back and takes the title.
It's only because the court had a stupid tile on the court that, like, you remember that? And then Baycott rolled his ankle. That championship game was scuffed right after that injury.
I think last year, I didn't like last year at all. I'm sorry.
I didn't like last year much either. I don't like this year that much either. I don't like either one of these years.
But here's the thing. NC State is so – I like it when there's one Cinderella. Not three, like there were like pretty much four last year. There were four teams that you did not expect to be there.
That's more fun.
That's no fun. That's no fun. Because then they end up playing each other in Final Four. You're like, This year, Purdue, one of the best players in the country, and Zach Edey going against one of the coolest players I ever watched play the game in DJ Burns.
But you know,
big man basketball.
But you know, Purdue's gonna win.
I know Purdue's going to win.
How is
exactly?
So how is
which
that
is
exciting?
Exactly why North Carolina State is going to win.
No. So how is that? No. Because Purdue's a better team. I don't care. I don't care. Purdue's a better
You know
team
who?
than
You know
NC
who's
State.
a better team than NC State? Duke, Marquette,
Duke
Not
was just
Oakland.
playing out of their mind. I don't know how.
and Texas Tech. All of those teams are better than North
Texas
Carolina
Tech,
State.
Texas Tech was not better than
North
NC
Carolina
State.
State's on a historic run. I'm going to doubt them so that they prove me wrong once again, and NC State beats Purdue and beats UConn. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the fanfare?
But I just like.
Okay, so let's get your picks.
Oh yeah,
UConn's
we
going to kill Bama.
We haven't. Yes,
UConn's
This is what
going
I'm saying.
to demolish
We know
Bama.
UConn's going to demolish Bama. I'm not like I'm going to watch it, but like I'm going to be like barely watching it while I'm working on.
See,
something else.
I agree with you that UConn's run has not been fun. I like the rest of the bracket.
no like.
But
See, this is
UConn's
why-
so good that it's kind of like cool to watch. Like,
No, it is cool to watch.
are we ever going to see a team that dominates back-to-back NCAA tournaments
No.
in this way?
It's crazy, and the fact that
30-0 against Illinois. Illinois is a great team. I think Illinois is a Final Four team in any other region.
See, this is why I don't like watching Purdue because of all the foul calls they get.
Come on.
The fact that NC State's our Cinderella team is just a joke in my opinion. That's not even like I hate it.
Please.
Alabama, nobody wants to see Alabama in the Final Four, and then UConn's just destroying everybody. That's why I don't like this March Madness.
Okay, here I'll give you one better. Alabama's not a basketball school. They're establishing themselves as a basketball school. Very fun team to watch. Fast-paced team, making a run that we didn't expect. Beating North Carolina, a blue blood with two of the best seniors in the country. UConn, historic.
Yeah.
Timeless. We're never going to see this again.
No,
We're never going to see this run again.
We might.
We could, but it's very unlikely. NC State completely counted out 3 weeks ago on a crazy run 40 years after Jim Valvano, and that crazy run that NC State had. He is looking down on this team, and he is looking down on DJ Burns, who is the coolest player in the country. Purdue, which now, are you a Big Ten person where you think about the Big Ten, you're like, oh yeah, Purdue? Because I know a lot of people like just hate the Big Ten that are from Nebraska. I think Purdue's a great team. I don't
They're
buy
the most boring team ever to watch.
please.
I don't want it like they're the
Oh,
most boring
come on.
team ever to watch. I don't care. Like you're taking me through all these games. I'm yawning.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. I'm yawning.
Oh my goodness. I can't believe you're saying this right now. Purdue is a fun team. Purdue's a fun team.
No, it's you get excited.
You can't score 40 points in an Elite Eight game, a career high, and not be an awesome player. I'm sorry. 40 points?
He's not even going to be a first round draft pick.
He's going to be a first round draft pick. I will guarantee you that. He will be like in the 25 to 30 range. I guarantee you that.
Okay.
I guarantee you that.
I'm just saying, I don't get excited by Edie just like doing.
You don't
what
get
Edie
excited
does.
about Edie versus Burns.
That excites me a little bit.
Like the arch nemesis and the hero coming together. This is cinema. And then they're fighting for the right to play one of the best teams, runs we've ever seen.
They're fighting for the chance to lose to UConn. So
by 30 or 20. We'll say 20.
Like 18.
I think Purdue could beat UConn. Hot take.
No.
I think Purdue could beat UConn.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I think they have.
No.
We saw Creighton do it.
No. You can come back to this recording. UConn's not losing. I don't care.
Okay, here's what I'll say. I'm going to pick UConn because I've been wrong every step of the way. I'm picking UConn over Bama, and I'm picking Purdue over NC State.
You love Purdue so much. Don't you dare.
No.
Don't you dare jeopardize this for me. Don't you dare.
I think UConn's the greatest team. There's
Oh
no
my
possible way
God.
they lose.
Oh my God.
There's not a chance in the world that Zach Edey wins a national championship.
No, it's
and there's
chalked.
negative chance that DJ Burns lifts a trophy.
Alabama's your national champions.
No, okay, that's UConn's going to beat it by 20.
Nah, yeah. They will. No,
I think Purdue could beat UConn.
No, they won't.
Creighton gave him the blueprint. Just saying.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying we went from like UCLA Gonzaga game going to the last minute to like UConn destroying Alabama and Purdue and NC State being a boring battle in the post game.
Don't give up so easily, Ben.
I already gave
We've
up.
got 4 weeks or 4 days. Quickly, let's touch on the women's tournament because I'm so hyped up for this.
We need to. It's more exciting than the men's. I'm sorry.
Oh,
it is.
I think the star power is for sure there.
The fact that we got LSU, Iowa in the Elite Eight, that Elite Eight game is probably going to be better than the national championship game.
So what if we get UConn, NC State in both men's and women's? Because it's
that
possible.
I don't think has that ever happened? The same two teams win the men's and women's? I guarantee you no.
We could certainly look that up.
There's no
I don't
way.
think it'll happen though. I think I've got South Carolina, Iowa.
Oh no, I agree.
South Carolina is going to beat NC State. that team's just so good.
No.
And I think Caitlin Clark and Iowa are going to beat Paige Becker. Paige Becker is fun to watch. No, I've been watching her since high school because she came out of Minnesota, and she came out at the same time as Jalen Suggs, and that was like a big year for Minnesota high school sports. It's like, okay, two of the best players in the country, future WNBA and NBA players, are coming out of the same state at the same time. That was really cool. But I think Caitlin Clark gets it done, and I think Caitlin Clark's going to win it all.
No,
it's impossible to root against her.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll root against her a little bit because I'm tired of seeing her in State Farm commercials. But it's written in the stars that Caitlin Clark's going to win this.
You have to think about the development of the women's game over this past 2 years, not just because of her, but a variety of stars.
Everybody,
a variety of stars. I mean, this is front page news, and that was never the case.
They had 12 million viewers.
It's incredible.
In the 8 game.
It's incredible.
That's more. Do you know that's more viewers on like the NBA Finals?
Oh yeah,
like by far. Like
this is what I wanted to bring up because I think the NBA and WNBA, depending on how they market their players, you know, these big stars that are going to league like Caitlin Clark, like Angel Reese.
I think more WNBA than NBA.
I'm just saying. I think the professional sports in general have an issue that they need to solve in basketball. I just think the college game is much more enjoyable. I'm sorry. I just think it is.
It's the way the games are reffed in pros, in my opinion. At least for NBA. I can't really speak on WNBA because I don't watch it as much. But
I just think
in the NBA, no,
it doesn't mean as much. A game does not mean as much.
Well, I mean, that's going to happen when you have an 82 game season. But I'm saying like it's because the NBA playoffs is a 7-game series and March Madness is a 1-game series. And not only that, the games themselves are a little bit more enjoyable to watch just because you don't have players that are just driving into the lane hoping to get a foul call because they're LeBron James or James Harden and they have a name.
Or Terrence Shannon.
And I don't even know why I threw names out, but I'm just saying like that the NBA is reffed so poorly. Like there was an end of like a 2-minute report like for refs like at the end of the game, and like they got almost every call wrong in one of the games. It's just like it's ridiculous. This is the professional league. Like people act like the NFL has a problem with refereeing. No, it's way worse than the NBA.
I just think it's so eye-opening that the Elite 8 game for college women's game can outperform the NBA finals. And that's not a detriment to the NBA even. Like that is legitimately just such a emphasis on how these women have changed the sport. And it is awesome to watch. I'm so excited. Like I have never been more excited to sit down and watch a women's basketball game tomorrow night.
I was more excited for the LSU Iowa game.
Okay,
because that was just a historic game.
It's because of the history.
Yes,
but I think if we get a South Carolina Iowa, game,
it'll be crazy.
Like South Carolina is so good, but Iowa's a team of destiny.
And Iowa has Caitlin Clark. Yeah, it's crazy. It gives me hope that like WNBA, like
they're going to be in great hands having all these players come in.
They have so much to work with. If the WNBA doesn't gain in popularity, they just not marketing.
They need to market their players.
They're just not marketing it enough.
And
like,
it's impossible not to. You can't.
No excuse. You have Caitlin Clark.
Oh yeah.
You have all the With that, we got to throw it to break because we went a little bit long. But when we come back, we're gonna get some spring football talk. Mostly Raiola. Raiola talked to media today after practice, so we're gonna get our reaction to that on the last segment right here on the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
High schoolers, unleash your creativity and learn about potential careers in broadcasting at the Digital Expressions Media Camp. Have fun, make friends, and get hands-on experience with video and radio production June 9th through the 14th at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. Scholarships are available from the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, and spots are limited. Learn more at digitalexpressionscamp.com. That's digitalexpressionscamp.com.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
If the week's been too hectic to even think about dinner, or your family can't handle one more night of leftovers, then it's time to let Hog Wild do the cooking. Hog Wild's family packs are one heck of a good deal for a complete barbecue meal loaded with all the smoked meats, tasty sides, buns, and sauces you need to feed your family. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Daily Nebraskan Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. One more last segment.
Yep.
We've dove into a lot of basketball. March Madness coming up this week.
That's all the talk.
Huge day for Nebraska basketball out of the middle of nowhere. Dare I say the most eventful offseason day ever?
Probably.
Coach of the year. Tominaga wins the three-point contest. Mass and Gary come back.
Probably.
But snuck in there a little bit. Kind of went under the radar today. Dylan Raiola had his first press conference availability.
I haven't seen anything on social media about it. Like,
It's
actually crazy.
I think it's a good thing. He needs to fly under the radar a little bit. And they talked about this today, and I watched it. And this was Danny Kalen's first, time talking to the media as well. And in that, stand up and, there's been some side chatter, but stand up and sit at the press conference. So Harburg, Danny Kalen, and Dylan Raiola talked, as well as Satterfield and Glenn Taylor, the quarterback's coach. It just seems like this team is locked in. I'm not going to lie to you. There was not a lot of, someone asked about, is there someone that you're looking like to pull away in this competition? And I say competition in air quotes, because it seems like they're all helping each other. I mean, there was a point where Harburg just said, hey man, like we're going to do, these new guys came in. I said, we're going to do this the same way we've done it the last 3 years. We're all going to help each other.
Yep.
We're going to compete with each other. We're going to make each other better. And then we're going to go play golf. We're going to hang out.
Yeah.
And that's such a good leadership position, in my opinion, from Harburg, because he probably knows he does not have the talent to keep up with either of these guys, in my opinion.
No, I said this on yesterday's show. I applaud Harburg for how he's been handling this offseason. I gotta be honest. I applaud him. Like, he has done everything in a professional manner. He still he's not gonna back down from the challenge, and that's my favorite part about it. Is he's not gonna back down from the challenge of Raiola and him fighting to start in week 1. Right. He's not gonna back down from it. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he was the week 1 starter. I'd be a little surprised. But
I'd be
really
shocked. We can talk about this at another show, but I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's going to be Raiola, but I wouldn't be that surprised though if Harburg is the week 1 starter. Just to if they want to maybe save, I don't want to say save, they don't feel like Raiola is quite ready to just throw him into the water. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I love how Harburg has handled himself, and same with Raiola.
Yeah, and Glenn Thomas, sorry. So did I say Glenn Taylor?
Yes, you did.
The owner of the Timberwolves. We were just talking about the Timberwolves in the break, so that's where but Glenn Thomas, quarterback's coach, talked about how Danny and Dylan are natural passers. He didn't say Harburg is a natural passer because Harburg went kind of in depth on how he's had to change his throwing motion and fixing that launch angle. And sometimes when he's in, when he's back in his natural habitat, he's dropping the elbow.
Yep.
And, he's pulling back into that. I think he's going to improve. Do I think he's going to improve enough to overpass Dylan? No.
Probably not. He just doesn't seem like a natural quarterback. But I love that he's not backing out from the competition, though. And I still feel like, though, because of he had a decent amount of success starting last year.
He did.
So that's why it wouldn't surprise me if he was the week 1 starter. Just because, Matt Rule knows if he has to, worst case scenario, he could lean on Harburg this year. And they could probably, they could be a bowl team. Honestly. If Harburg could be the starter,
if the defense is as good or better last year,
they could easily be a bowl team, even with just Harburg starting. And we know how much more talent Raiola has.
Yes.
So, but with that, thank you for listening to the Daily Nebraskan Show right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. We'll be right back here next week, Monday, same time, 11 to 12.
Recapping it all.
Anthony and Marissa. Yep.
Crazy weekend.
See ya.
Peace.
Drinking and driving causes serious harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. In 2021, 65 people were killed in Nebraska by a car crash involving a drunk driver. Do not drink and drive. By drinking less, you can still be here for your loved ones. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you